What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. The world's attention was on South Korea as U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping were in the country for a brief but significant meeting. The two mainly talked trade, with both sides reporting positive results. Cadence Caranta has more.
A highly anticipated moment as the leaders of the world's two biggest economies come face to face for the first time in years. U.S. President Donald Trump had for days been talking up his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea, saying it was bound to be productive. And from what he told reporters afterwards, the nearly 2-hour-long talk did not disappoint.
Overall, I guess on the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was a 12. Okay, I think it was a 12. I think, very importantly, just the whole relationship is very, very important. And I think it was really good.
The meeting seems to have eased ongoing trade tensions between the two nations, at least for now. Trump says U.S. tariffs on China will be lowered. In exchange, he says Xi agreed to delay tightening export controls on rare earth minerals, crucial for many U.S. technologies. China also agreed to buy more American agricultural products and help in the fight against illegal fentanyl. Trump added the two sides look set to finalize a trade deal and that he and Xi agreed to visit each other's countries in the spring. China also sounded upbeat. In a statement, it said it hoped to minimize trade tensions, that trade should not cause conflict between the two countries, and that cooperation, rather than retaliation, is the way to go in the future. It echoes comments Xi made during the meeting.
And in the face of winds, waves, and challenges, you and I, at the helm of China-US relations, should stay the right course and ensure the steady sailing forward of the giant ship of China-US relations.
There had been some speculation the two leaders might touch on the subject of Taiwan, a sore spot in U.S.-China relations. Trump had suggested in the days before the meeting that it could come up, but it seems they avoided the subject.
It never came up. Taiwan never came up. Let's not discuss, actually.
Still, officials in Taiwan were following the meeting closely and trying to reassure the public that relations with the U.S. are stable. On Thursday, Foreign Minister Lin Jialong said the country is confident in its ties with the U.S. And the head of Taiwan's main opposition, Kuomintang, Eric Chu, said he hoped the meeting could contribute to cross-strait peace, with both the U.S. and China playing a big part in the stability of the Taiwan Strait. Back in South Korea, drama unfolded around the summit's location. The two leaders ended up holding their summit at the edge of this airport in the southern city of Busan, far away from where the action of APEC is actually taking place, reportedly due to security considerations. And it caused quite a stir in the area nearby. Protesters appeared outside the airport before the meeting began. And some who got too close to a crowd welcoming the Chinese president were taken away by the police. Though the meeting didn't last long, it seems to have produced some significant results. Now, the question is whether this new thaw in U.S.-China relations will hold and what that will mean for the rest of the world. Justin Wu and Cadence Caranta in Busan, South Korea for TaiwanPlus.
For more on what the Trump-Xi meeting could mean for U.S.-China ties and for Taiwan, Leslie Liao spoke to Roy Chun Lee, Associate Research Fellow at the Zhonghua Institution for Economic Research and Taiwan's former representative to the EU.
What can you tell us about the significance and the timing of these talks? Why are they happening now?
We can sense that both sides have the intention to de-escalate in some way or the other. So the timing is important because, again, also on the U.S. side, you can see they are rapidly wrapping up all the trade negotiation, trade deals. And that's among all the trade deals, of course, this one with China is probably the highlight of the Trump's trade policy in the first year.
Now, one of the things that Donald Trump said that is more substantive, he said that he's going to lower tariffs on China by about 10%. What do you make of that?
The aggregated tariff against Chinese products is about 55, 58%. So lowering from that level to say 40-something% is a good gesture. I would say a good starting point. Again, it shows it sends out a message of goodwill. But in trade terms, 45% tariff is still a very, very high tariff. For many of the products, it's prohibitively high. So it suggests that the US and China probably have to continue to talk, even on tariffs. We are just at the very beginning of a long process.
Donald Trump also said that Taiwan did not come up in these meetings. Now, the topic of Taiwan was kind of a focal point for this summit. What do you think the possibility of not discussing Taiwan is during this meeting?
The outcome that Taiwan was never discussed in these tables also indicates that both sides prioritize trade, all the efforts to remove or lower the trade tension as the number one priority. For China, Taiwan is, of course, an important issue, but in terms of short-term priorities, Taiwan is not on top of China's list. And also, of course, because I think China is reading the U.S. actions, and they probably come to a conclusion that the U.S. is not in any position to change its policy towards Taiwan. So there's no point to raise this issue that knowingly that the U.S. has no intention or is not prepared to make any to start any discussions.
Now, going into this meeting, what do you think the Taiwanese government was looking for? And now that the meeting is over, what do you think Taipei is taking away from the meeting?
Well, of course, I think on Taiwan, people are anxious about whether the issue of Taiwan will be raised and discussed, because there are a lot of rumors or conspiracies that has been floating around about trading Taiwan, or China is will be pushing Trump to make a major decisions on Taiwan. And actually, my own prediction is that I don't expect the U.S. going to make major concessions or major amendments to its policy towards Taiwan. To the contrary, to the opposite, I think the U.S. has already demonstrated, especially under President Trump, its commitment to ensure the cross-strait stability and to deter China from unilaterally taking, especially military actions.
That was Roy Chun Lee, Associate Research Fellow at the Zhonghua Institution for Economic Research and Taiwan's former representative to the EU. The U.S. and South Korea have hashed out a new trade deal as well, and this will see Washington lower tariffs while Seoul will invest $350 billion in American industries. U.S. President Trump imposed a 25% tariff rate on South Korea earlier this year, but that will be reduced to 15% following Seoul's cash investment as well as oil and gas purchases. Later, Trump announced on social media that he will help South Korea build a nuclear-powered submarine. The U.S. will share highly guarded military technology to help with construction, technology that was not shared in a similar deal with the UK and Australia. The announcement comes after North Korea unveiled plans to build its first-ever nuclear-powered submarine earlier this year. Taiwan's army is practicing counterattacks as part of its 7-day Sheng exercise. The combat drills aim to simulate real battlefield conditions, including psychological warfare tactics and decentralized command. Troops practice urban combat in central Rinling, backed by attack helicopters and tanks. The joint forces coordinated a counteroffensive scenario against enemy positions. This is the first year of the Sheng exercise, which is designed to sharpen commanders' decision-making skills and prepare troops for modern combat. Cut Taiwan's undersea cables and the country goes offline. In recent years, Taiwan has seen its critical infrastructure targeted by China's gray zone warfare tactics. Now, as Alan Liu reports, new laws could help it fight back.
In waters near Taiwan, those usually tasked with guarding the coast now find themselves guarding critical infrastructure deep below. Using ships and fishing boats, China has been sabotaging the cables that keep Taiwan online. Now, changes to the law could give Taiwan a tool to fight back.
只要是扯断电缆的外力扯断，我们都视为国安件，那都会报请检察官指挥侦办。
On Thursday, changes to 3 acts, the Electricity Act, the Natural Gas Enterprise Act, and the Water Supply Act, passed the first of 3 reviews in the legislature. Their aim to protect Taiwan's key infrastructure by providing harsher punishments for those caught tampering with underwater internet, gas, water, and power infrastructure. It's all part of a broader package known as the 7 Undersea Cable Laws. These changes could allow authorities to seize vessels and charge any involved crew with up to 7 years in prison.
你把刑责拉高，那这样子的话才会有拉高它的、提高它的一个嚇阻效力。所以我们做这些准备的动作，一方面防止我们被无尽的消耗，一方面也增加其他国家跟我们合作的一个意愿。
But harsh punishments won't be a deterrence if perpetrators don't fear getting caught.
当然，最大挑战是在于说，你真的第一个是你要能够侦测到，这个侦测到还包括说，你侦测到之后，你的海象是容不容许你去做拦检跟登船，登船之后再做扣押，这些都是很多在海上的实务，它是牵涉到很多很高的风险。
On average, Taiwan's cables are damaged or tampered with 8 times a year. These incidents, which could take Taiwan offline, expose real vulnerabilities within the country's communications lifelines. To boost cable security and deter interference, officials hope the proposed law changes will give Taiwan and its Coast Guard a new edge in the coming months. Patrick Chan and Ellen Liu for TaiwanPlus.
Just how responsible are companies for ensuring their employees are safe if war were to break out? That's the big question for the nearly 3,000 Japanese companies with branches or offices in Taiwan. Our reporter Larry Ishiano has more.
就是过去2年都在等级1这样，印象中3、4月左右就升级到等级2这样。
Over the past 2 years, Japanese companies have increasingly begun working with risk management firms, running emergency scenario simulations, and drafting response plans. One anonymous employee at a Japanese company also revealed his firm began to give staff weekly situation reports 2 years ago as part of planning for a Taiwan emergency.
提升到等级3的话，就会要开始检讨要不要把驻在员家人们先撤回到日本。不要说的，可能第4的话，可能就会开始考虑连派驻到台湾的公司员工都要一起撤回日本。公司已经有提供免费的机票。
Growing Chinese military pressure on Taiwan has not gone unnoticed by Japanese companies or the risk consultancies they work with.
We discuss with companies how they can protect their employees if something were to happen in Taiwan. Another consideration is how to maintain operations and supply chains in both China and Taiwan.
Although slideshows detailing China's military exercises may be a source of stress for companies or employees, they've presented a newfound business opportunity for this consultancy, where the number of clients has grown since 2023.
We've served about 20 companies in the last 2 years. Our business has grown rapidly since 2023, triggered by Donald Trump winning the 2024 US presidential election and the ongoing war in Ukraine. Some people are wondering if East Asia is next. About 60% of companies in our survey are planning for the risk of a conflict breaking out.
While business opportunities are only multiplying for risk management consultants, it's no easy task to point to the exact moment an emergency rises to the level of evacuating staff or how to provide for them afterwards. With a new pro-Taiwan Japanese prime minister, rising military tensions, and an increasing desire from companies to relocate supply chains away from China, what happens next is increasingly uncertain. Klein Wang and Larry Siano for TaiwanPlus.
And thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave with images from Argentina, where an artist turns discarded trash into whimsical animal sculptures. I'm Eric Yao. Take care. We'll see you next time.